What's up? Man, I just want to congratulate the Phillies for winning the National League Championship Series, winning National League champions. Hasn't even really hit me still, but I'm sorry for the hold off. I was kind of holding off this video till I found out who we were going to face in the World Series. We're facing off the Tampa Bay Rays, and I'll get to them in a bit. But and I want to get this out of the way first. When you see the Phillies return home for the World Series, you'll see a lot of fans with these. So I thought this was really cool. How we have these at our home field, and I think that plays a big role in why we were undefeated so far in the playoffs at home. But to my point, what a great thing for Philadelphia to see these Phillies just beat the Dodgers in 5. Because I think Manny brought that somewhat of intimidation towards the Phillies. But I think it's just a great thing that the Phillies were to hold off the Dodgers in 5 games. But in my mind, this series really kind of took the turn for the worse for the Dodgers in Game 4 when Stairs just crushed that ball. When Matt Stairs pinch hit home run in Game 4, he crushed that ball, and the Phillies won that game. They took a 3-1 series lead. I think that was just the loss that the Dodgers could never recover from, which showed in Game 5 how we beat the Dodgers, and it was great. Second off, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Rays for winning the ALCS. However, I think this is a better situation. I'm not underestimating the Rays, don't get me wrong, but I think it's better that we're facing the Rays, because if Boston were to come back from down 3-1 again this year, and we were to face Boston, I would be scared as hell of Boston, because they'd be riding all that momentum. But we're facing the Rays, but the good thing about this, I think, the good thing that plays into this situation is everyone knows in Philadelphia, the Rays had that 7-0 lead in like the 7th inning at Fenway Park a week ago, and sometime last week, back in Game 5, and the Rays could have closed it out in 5, but somehow the Red Sox came back and won Game 5 and won Game 6. And they had a chance to win Game 7 for the Red Sox to go to the World Series, but the Rays just were able to hold them off. And you notice these celebrations. The Phillies had more of a humble celebration, even me myself. But the Rays, nothing to take away from the Rays, because they did a great job beating the Red Sox. So don't get me wrong on that part. But the Rays were just piling on top of each other, and even the manager, they were just jumping up and down, like they won the World Series. Like the Rays were going crazy, piling up on each other. I think over celebrating, because they were just, you get the sense that the Rays were just, they were just so relieved, because they probably would have never had a chance like this again if they were to blow it to the Red Sox. But you just get the impression that the Rays were absolutely just so relieved that they made it to the World Series, because they nearly blew what would have been just a monumental collapse playoff-wise for the Tampa Bay Rays if they were to blow it to the Boston Red Sox. So you get the sense that they're just more relieved. But congratulations to the Rays and the Phillies, and we're going to square off in the World Series. Game 1's tomorrow night in Tampa. Cole Hamels on the mound, and I know what everyone's saying about who's going to win this series. I think the Phillies will win it, but it won't be easy. I think we'll win it in 6. But the Rays have a solid team, and but so do the Phillies. Now, as of history between the Phillies and Rays, since the Rays entered the league, I remember I went to a few Phillies-Rays games. I went to a Phillies-Rays game at the Vet about 8 or 9 years ago, when they were called the Devil Rays, and they sucked back then. And the Rays came here to Philadelphia back in 2006 on Citizens Bank Park, to Citizens Bank Park, I mean. And I was there when the Phillies beat the Rays at Citizens Bank Park back in 2006. But 2 totally different teams, no doubt. Excuse me. Now for the Rays, I did see them this year. It was a Wednesday morning, and I flew down to Tampa, drove across the bay, Causeway, Tampa Bay. I drove across Tampa Bay to St. Petersburg to see the Phillies and the Rays play. This is my ticket, and it was the first game I attended to all year in spring training. But that's basically where we can only get the comparisons to those teams back from spring training. And the Phillies, speaking of them, they're in Tampa now. They've been working out in the Tropicana Field. The Phillies, I believe, have played there twice, 2 series before. The Phillies, when they last won at Tropicana Field, was back in 1999, and the Phillies played there in a 3-game sweep of the Rays back in 2001. But you can talk about the Rays fans and stuff. I'm going to get to my next point on the Rays fans. How they're not selling out, and I think people are right. I think the Rays, and I credit the Rays fans that have been there since day one. I credit, don't get me wrong, I will credit any Tampa Bay citizen or Tampa Bay loyal sports fan that has been with the Rays since day one. I will credit them. But the majority have just completely jumped all over the bandwagon on this team in mid-September. Just completely jumped on. And back in like April, May, June, at first they were averaging like 12,000 at the Tropicana Field every game. But now, of course, once the playoffs start, now they're selling out. And, and there were still, even when the playoffs began, there were still empty seats in Tampa. There were still empty seats, and they had to put a tarp over the seats up top. But now they took it down because it's the World Series, of course. But I'm not going to underestimate, this Tampa Rays team. They have great hitters like B.J. Upton, Evan Longoria, and I think the key for our pitchers is if you see it, they hit, the Rays hitters is what I've seen, especially from B.J. Upton. He crushed a few over the Fenway Park monster wall. If you pitch to him up top in the middle, he's going to crush him. And especially if it's a bad breaking ball or a changeup, he'll crush those. But I just think the key for the Phillies to win this series is to definitely, I think, at least split at the first 2 in Tampa and just win out at our home. I'll be going to Game 3 for the World Series. Can't wait. I'm so excited. What a great thing for the city of Philadelphia, and it's time to end this 25-year drought, and I think we have the right guys on this Phillies team to do it. So, let's go Phillies.